NFL in action with 2 games on the slate. First game is going to be the Texans and the Chargers. Again, should be a good game, especially the way the Texans are playing on absolute fire. Chargers at home. If they lose, the Denver Broncos do clinch the division. But if the Chargers win, then there's still some competition there. But the Chargers wide receiver, Trey Harris, you're looking at him tomorrow. How come he's the one you're looking at?
So, look, you don't want to go up against Houston in terms of passing. There's a lot of bad numbers. Like Ladd McConkey is a guy that you usually look at, but Jalen Petrie is one of the best slot corners outside of Cooper DeJean in the league. So you don't look at Ladd McConkey. On the outside, there's a lot of tough corners too. So I'm looking at the fourth corner. Like if we get a lot of 4 wide receiver sets here, if you look at what Trey Harris has done the last couple of weeks, he's getting involved. Now his snap count is not as good. And there was the game 2 weeks ago when Quentin Johnston wasn't there and he got a lot of time there. But if you look at last week, in over 50% of his snaps, he still got 3 or 4 receptions. And so this is a guy that's still getting used. And I find it hard to believe that Houston has a fourth corner who can match up with this guy potentially. So it's a small bet, but like we've talked about on the show, I find more value sometimes in the backups. And I'm mad at myself because I always say that in the show. And I didn't play Malik Davis yesterday because that was obvious that Malik Davis against a bad rush defense for the Commanders was going to have a really good game. I didn't play that. I only took him to score a touchdown, and obviously he didn't score a touchdown. But I think Trey Harris has some value in this game. Both of these teams are top 5 in least rushing attempts seen. So, you're going to want to throw in these games. And so, I think Trey Harris gets involved a little bit. It's worth a sprinkle. Not my favorite bet. The next one's my more favorite of the 2 of them.
I assume it's something related to the kicker whisperer.
Yeah, Kicker Whisperer went 2-0 yesterday. Very happy about that. And we had Will Reichert over 6.5 points. He went over that. And then we had both kickers to have a 33-yard field goal or more. It's on DraftKings. So this game screams field goals. I mean, if you look at these 2 guys, they are 2 of the busiest field goal kickers in the league. Fairbairn is a guy that you're constantly taking overs on, and Cameron Dicker, the kicker, excuse me.
Dicker the kicker.
Yes, for the Chargers. He's a guy that you want to play. Now, the juice was really high on DraftKings. It was like minus 155, minus 160 for both of them to go over their 1.5. And since I think they're both going to have multiple opportunities in this situation, I took the yes on both guys to make over 33-yard field goals. Remember, we're indoors. These guys both kick regularly 50-yard field goals plus. And so I took over 33-yard field goals by both of them at minus 150 on DraftKings. I like that a lot. I think we're going to see a lot of field goals. Heck, you could even almost go with the over on the total yardage for this game, although it's a lot higher because they know that both these guys can hit 50-plus yarders. I like both of them to hit over 33.5 or 33-yard field goals at minus 150 on DraftKings.
Kicker Whisper in action. You're okay with laying minus 150?
Yeah, I like this one a lot. Yeah, this is a bet I like a lot because it's either laying minus 150.
Is good enough. Houston's defense can definitely stop the Chargers in the red zone. The Chargers are good enough offensively to be able to get into the red zone. It's just a matter of how good they are at conquering the Texans all the way downfield.
Yeah, and Houston's the one that scares me a little bit more, but Fairbairn has such a leg that indoors he could make a 60-yarder if we need. He could make a 57-yarder if we need it.
What are the stakes in this game?
What are the what?
The stakes in this game. Do you know the situations? I know that the Chargers can win and I guess stop the Broncos from winning the division this week, but I'm trying to remember the situations.
Well, Houston obviously needs it for the division.
Yeah.
And I would say that, and you just mentioned that the Chargers need it for the division. So there's a lot at stake, and I think points are going to be at a premium in this game. So I think that both of them need to. I think both of them will settle for field goals. We know Harbaugh is no problem doing that. Harbaugh is a guy who loves settling for field goals. So I just think getting involved with Fairbairn and Los Angeles's kicker are the way to go in this one.
Yeah, Jacksonville's 11-4, Houston's 10-5. So 1 game back, and then in the AFC West, Denver already played. They're 13-3. Los Angeles 11-4. So just keep those records in mind. But obviously, this game does mean something to both these teams. Your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, in a big one against the Buffalo Bills. How would you play that game if your heart is willing to take it on?
Look, I've already put my emotional hedge bet down on the Bills. There's a small part of me that says the Eagles, They need this game, but they don't really because they're pretty much in on the 3. Look, I think the Bears lose to the 49ers on Sunday night, which then comes down to, do I think the Lions with nothing to play for are going to go into Chicago and win that game? Because if the Eagles win the last 2 and the Bears lose the last 2, we get the 2 seed over them and bring them to Philadelphia in any sort of future game, which I think is important, but I also think a bye would be important for the Eagles. And remember, Dan Quinn said 2 weeks ago, I'm going to remember what you guys did, and we're going to remember that in Philadelphia in Week 18. That loser of a head coach. So there's part of me that thinks like they'll show up and they'll try, but like part of me also thinks that like it doesn't mean as much in the grand scheme of things because they could just stay at the 3 and just, be able to play whoever the 6 seed will be, which hopefully is not the Rams, because that scares the crap out of me. But I think this is a situation where I like some sort of under in this game with the field goals because it's supposed to rain. It's supposed to be wet. It was originally supposed to snow. Now it looks like it's going to change to rain because it's going to be above 30-something degrees there. And we have a Philadelphia team who already doesn't believe in Jake Elliott as it is. He's been miserable as a kicker so far the last couple weeks. I don't think they're going to be settling for field goals here. And Michael Badgley is the kicker for the Bills. He's not a long one either. Like he's hit a couple 50-yarders. I think I saw, and I sent it to you. I either like the under 3.5 field goals total for this game or under, I think it's like 130.5 yards total for field goals. I just think that's
a prop.
Yeah, that's a prop on DraftKings.
Under yardage for field goals, that's heavy math.
It's heavy. I don't play it often, although I have played it in Denver because in Denver, like, you can regularly have 60-yard field goals. So like, it's only really a couple situations that I could see myself playing that. I'm trying to pull up what the number is now, but I just don't see a lot of field goals in this game. I just don't think that either team trusts their field goal kicker right now. I mean, Badgley's not a guy who's going to make long ones. Yeah, the number is it's 126.5. Which means, 340-plus yard field goals. I don't know if I see that right now. I think probably the better one is under 3.5 field goals for this game. I just don't think there's going to be a lot of them. Jake Elliott's in a funk right now, and I don't think he's making field goals in the rain in a wet field like this. I think Sirianni has no problem going forward on 4th down if he has to.
King K, he wants to know, does Smith have a big game or should he sit him?
You have to check the weather beforehand, make sure it doesn't switch back to snow. It's so tough because I feel like the Bills, like the Eagles, if they're smart, the Eagles will run the ball 40 times in this game because the Bills can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. Like, once again, I'm looking at Tank Bigsby props because, and I don't see them out yet. I don't know if they're going to put any out yet. Maybe they will closer to the game. But like the Eagles, in theory, should be running Tank and running Saquon 30 times. Potentially, and there should be more runs for Jalen. Like, I think Jalen should run the ball more. So, like, I think this is a game where the Eagles should be running it as much as possible. Have Hurts's attempts down. Hurts's attempts is so low as it is, 25.5 in this game. Like, that's a tough under to take if they're far behind. But if they're far behind, I also think they're just going to give up and then either take the bye next week or just, try next week against Washington. But yeah, the Eagles should be running it a lot. I don't think Devontae has a huge game. If AJ complains a little bit, AJ will get more receptions in this game. This is not a Dallas Goedert game. We know that the Bills are really good against the tight ends, really good against the tight ends.
But so are the Eagles. It's not a tight end game at all.
And by the way, this is not a Khalil Shakir game either. Like, Cooper DeJean is a guy that will shut down Khalil Shakir. So like, this is a game where you're probably looking at the outside guys. If Gabe Davis is active, if Keon Coleman's active, but then this is where, because they keep Quinyon on a boundary, they don't follow him. So you have to kind of see where these guys line up. Will they be lining up away from Quinyon, or are they going to be lining up against Adoree Jackson, who's been pretty good this season? So this is a really tough game to kind of figure out, but there's avenues here. I think both teams just run it in the weather, and I think we get a lower scoring game. But just a lot of James Cook and Saquon Barkley.